Our next guest speaker for the session this morning, we have Dr. VijayaKumar Marimuthu. He's a medical entrepreneur and consultant anesthesiologist. He's NABH Accreditation Standards Assessor, Quality Council of India. He's the co-director and partner for Rayan Healthcare Infra Private Limited, which is a healthcare design and architectural firm. He also serves as the director for Umbal Infra LLP, a complete healthcare infra solution providing company. He's a director and partner at Atlantis Medical Services Private Limited, a chain of medium-sized hospitals. We're very, very happy to have you here, Doctor. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome, and I extend my sincere thanks to the Medicall team and my senior and mentor, Dr. Manivannan. A very warm good afternoon to everybody. Today, my topic will be catering not to the particular designation of attaching yourself to the construction of a 150-bedded hospital. However, this topic is going to cater all the categories of sizes of the hospital. For example, even it holds good for a size of 30-bedded to even a 1,500-bed hospital as well. So today what I'm going to do is just to have an overview of how the design perspectives are going to impact in the quality management system. A unique topic which probably most of you would have not heard. Now this topic is more prevailing about the considerations of the previous speakers' topics, like the infrastructure, as well as I'm slightly extending it to the operations as well. Let's move on to the slides. So I wish to dedicate this presentation to the stalwart named Donabanian. The Donabanian is considered to be the father of the modern healthcare quality management system. So what he has done is his contribution is exorbitant in terms of establishing the quality in healthcare industry altogether. His definition for or his prescription on the the triad called as structure, process, and the outcome model is the basis for most of the healthcare quality metrics what we are going to what we are undergoing. Most of the hospitals will be NABH accredited or be pre-certified. Everybody would have undergone some kind of quality incorporation in their organization. All the credit goes to this gentleman. His model is called the triad of structure, process, and outcome. And this has got a unique relationship within themselves. These three topics, the structure has a strong implication on an influence on the process. And of course, the process, along with the structure, together they're going to contribute and have a very great influence on the outcome aspect of the healthcare process. So, in fact, this triad is holding good still till date with any other industries as well. Because if you have a good structure and a very good process in place, obviously we can anticipate a good outcome from the establishments. Now, extrapolating this concept on the healthcare system, the structure includes the physical and organizational characteristics, like the manpower and all those kind of stuff, which I'm going to see in the next forthcoming slides. The process involves the delivery of healthcare, and together they're going to contribute on the to the public and to the population on the healthcare perspectives. So on the structural note, it emphasizes on the infrastructure, the optimal medical equipment availability, the staffing ratios, the qualification of the qualified medical professionals to serve the public. All these things are considered as a structural component. And as an organization, if you have a system and you have a process or you have a practice, that's how I can call, in assessing the structure, by periodical review of the available resources and the supports, you will be able to achieve a very good and effective care delivery system. The Donabanian model, which includes the process has got the all-inclusive activities that pertains to the patient care. I can broadly classify that into the clinical services and the non-clinical services. The clinical services are taken care by the clinicians and the paramedical team who serve the patients in a very close range. The non-clinical services, however, include all the administrative and the allied activities which will be able to, in collaboration with the clinical team, they'll be able to give a better outcome. So this is how I call it as coordination and integration of the care. Actually, this has to happen at the infrastructure level, that is the staff level and the stakeholder level, which will in fact impact the outcome in a very, very big way. And this, again, the process has to be periodically audited. That is the key point. So examining the process helps identification of opportunities for improvement, standardization, and consistency in delivering of the high quality. So this is what is the basis for NIBH standards. That is, this is what is the basis for the quality system altogether. And the outcome component has got the results and the effects of the services what we provide. It is gauged by the clinical outcomes, the patient satisfaction ratio, the functional status of the systems, what you own for yourself, and other measures of the healthcare quality management system. So again, we have to evaluate on a periodical basis to understand the effectiveness of the care what the patients receive due to the, by virtue of the structure and the process what we own. And this is a unique entity where it is beyond these three triads, like the three components being the structure, process, and outcome. The balancing measure is to make sure that there's some kind of deficit which is happening at these three levels can be balanced in such a way like you have a better outcome to the patient. However, these should be in a very meticulous and a very careful way it has to be handled, because attempting to do one benefit to the, to reduce the the better perspective of one one area should not affect the another component. I can still elaborate on this. Suppose if a patient is getting admitted in the ER department, for reducing the average length of stay, which is going to be one of the raw data for capturing and it's considered as one of the key performance indicators. When attempting to do that, if we reduce the if we reduce the time stay at the emergency department and try to push the patient to their home or discharge at the earlier period, that will have an impact on the readmission of the patient. So one activity should not impact on a negative side of the other activity. So this balance has to be obtained in a very delicate way. Moving on to the design perspectives in the healthcare quality management system, the 8 points consideration. I'll be a little elaborate and I'll try to push it as fast as possible. The infrastructure perspectives has been deliberately dealt in a very elaborate way. I would emphasize on certain points, like the healthcare design in hospitals encompasses the physical facilities, the infra system, the equipments necessary to support the efficiency and effective delivery of healthcare system. It requires the collaboration between the key stakeholders like architects, engineers, the healthcare professionals, and the administrators to deliver a safe, efficient, and sustainable environment. So space planning, as dealt earlier by most of the other two speakers, the space planning of the allocated areas for specific function has to be considered, and these infrastructure considerations or the perspectives has to be considered at the design level itself. When you sit with an architect or an engineer, we have to be very, very much specific about the considerations what we have at this level. So the effective space utilization is the key component which ensures the optimal workflow and patient comfort zone as well. The architecture and the structural design, we need to have a well-designed building which provides a safe and a welcoming environment to the people. The design should always consider the following factors like accessibility, natural lighting, a well-ventilated system, and incorporating all the infection control practices in place. The medical equipment, of course, we need to have the optimal medical equipments required for the particular specialty of the hospital, what they're going to practice. If it's going to be, and it's going to be subjective and it varies depending on the practice which is going to be taken care in that particular space. So why am I insisting on this point is we need to get the information at the designing level itself, because the space detailing for the specialized equipment, imaging systems, the surgical suits, the entire IT infrastructure, all these things might not be been informed, or the architects might not be very much familiar with that. So we need to be the regular architects. So healthcare architect probably might be well informed. However, the regular architects who does the other buildings might not be very familiar with these things. So we have to educate them, or rather make sure that these are getting incorporated in the project. The utility systems, however, like the HVAC system, like as mentioned by the previous speakers, the electrical and the plumbing, all these considerations are to be taken care while the designing stage is initiated. The patient and staff safety. One of the prime responsibilities of any stakeholder, any building, any management, is to make sure that not only we are safe for the patients and we are going to make our patient experience in a better way, it is also our moral responsibility to make sure that our staffs are also well taken care and they are safe during their presence in the hospital. For example, taking care of the hospital infection control systems, giving of all the PPE kits for the patients, for the staff members who are addressing high-risk patients, and cordoning off the space, and to create a negative pressure, the negative pressure system, so that the isolation rooms are always safe for the patients. All these things are to be considered while we are planning the hospital itself. So also we need to consider the fire safety, the evacuation plans, the security measures, all these things has to be considered. And the next would be the accessibility and the wayfinding solutions. Any patient who are stepping inside the hospital should have an adequate visibility or orientation to the space where they are available. So this will be enhancing the experience of the patient, where they'll have a very minimal interaction with the people, so that they can reach wherever the intended destination is going to be there. And this particular exercise has to be done to all the employees of the organization, because this practice of orientation, infrastructure orientation, is not only going to help the staffs, also to the patients who are going to be assisted by the staffs. Please do consider the future expansion plans and the flexibility of the space whenever we are going to plan for the structures as well. Upfront planning for expansion and incorporating the flexible spaces also needs to be considered, and for which the technology is going to be of very great help for us. The sustainability and the green, the energy efficiency, the green building concept is right now flaring up in a very big way. The government of India is encouraging in a big way, and a lot of government of India organizations are coming up. The so-called Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, has come out with the healthcare guidelines, which has a set of instructions and processes to be followed if we are going to adhere to the green building concept. And they have come up with green hospital concepts as well. So those things are very much available in the internet at free of cost. So this overall, what is the benefit of adhering ourselves to the green building or the sustainable structure? That would reduce the environmental footprints and the operational cost on the down the line. So energy efficient spaces, the renewable energy resources, optimal usage, the water conservation techniques, and eco-friendly materials during the construction projects. Right. Let's move on to the process perspective. So far we have seen the structure, and now it's going to be the process. The process optimizes the workflow, the energy efficient, operational efficiency to enhance the patient care. See, these two are the considerations which we always have to focus on. And overall, the next set of people who are going to be involved in this process, designers, the administrators, the clinicians, the support staffs, and the patients ultimately. The process design aims, so we can design the process. That's the liberty what we have got. As a management part, as a stakeholder, we have got that liberty to design the process, and the NABH has given so much of guidelines to make sure that we are adhering to such processes, and the outcome is going to be benefited for the patient. So that process design should be in a position to eliminate the inefficiencies. It should be in a position to enhance or give a pleasurable experience to the patient, and it has to improve the outcomes and optimally use the resources which are available. The patient flow. The patient flow is one of the biggest challenges where we need to streamline for the timely and effective patient care. This involves the following sequence of the steps. From registration to the discharge, the patient has to have a seamless flow of the activities which will make them very comfortable. Most of the challenges happen at the discharge level. Probably most of the hospital owners will be recognizing and will be acknowledging that as well. So identifying the opportunities to reduce the waiting times in every zone wherever it's possible. And eliminating the bottlenecks, it is again a process-related activity, and improving the handoffs between the departments, and not only between the departments, it is also between the clinicians, which most of the spaces it's not happening, and it is happening at the staff nurse level. They say, நான் வந்து இந்த staff nurse க்கு handover கொடுத்துட்டேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. But however, it's not happening at the doctor's level. So that has to be emphasized. The care pathways, so many international bodies are setting up standards to enhance the patient care, and they are structuring the delivery of healthcare system. So we are very much familiar with the basic life support, BLS, ACLS, PALS, NALS, NICE guidelines. All these things are contributing to create a clinical care pathway which is going to guide every stakeholders of the organization to a better patient care. So appointment scheduling, this is again one of the most challenging perspectives, where people are anticipating to have a minimal waiting time during their visits to the hospital. And this also helps the effective utilization and optimal usage of the healthcare providers and the professional time as well. So implementing the online tools like online booking, appointment booking, the automated reminders, all these things are going to contribute to the appointment scheduling optimization. The supply chain management, this is one of the very key component which very recently I happened to be in one of the ICUs of the very renowned hospital in the city. They didn't have a catheter, three-way catheter for a HT patient. They say there was some internal discussions. They were prompting that we didn't have the supply of the three-way catheter. We have only one-way central line catheter for the hemodialysis. Reason being, the payment has not been done to the vendor, and he has not done the supply to the organization. One of the premium hospitals in the city right now. So availability of the medical supplies, the medications, and the equipment plays a very critical role, and it's very crucial in the hospital operations as concerned. So effective and a robust inventory management, a streamlined procurement process, and a strong relationship with the suppliers, all these things are going to help us in a big way. Obviously, minimizing the wastage at the stakeholders levels is also to be considered. Incorporating EMRs. So the healthcare is becoming more digitized right away, and we are having so many HMS softwares coming up, and they are, they have their own uniqueness. I wish you always choose after undergoing a hands-on experience with a particular software, whichever you are shortlisting. Otherwise, that's not going to help you out in a very big way. Ask for a demo URL, ask them to experience, ask your team members to experience for a week or so, and then based on the experiences and the lessons what they are communicating to you, whatever they are communicating to you could be a valuable input in choosing the right HMS for you. So it should be, this digitization is also going to help the organizations in terms of their stakeholders management is also concerned, because they're going to have some kind of information which is going to be seamlessly shared across the organization. And it reduces the duplication of tests, as well as it improves the patient safety. One of the very key components which most of the hospitals are missing is the communication. Effective communication is going to solve most of the problems, and this communication is a very important tool at multiple sensitive areas. Altogether, the entire hospital is a very sensitive area. We have been noticing for the past couple of decades, where so many incidences are happening, mob attacks are happening. That's just because of the communication skill, what we don't deliberately improve for ourselves. If we have that skill of communication, obviously we can handle any kind of situations, and it is our moral responsibility to train our staffs. You have to take the role of train the trainer concept, and then you have to educate your subordinates to make sure and then to escalate the issues whenever they are facing challenges. And the secured messaging platforms and digital communication channels, not these WhatsApp and Telegrams. I'm just telling that intranet, we have a lot of communications which can happen, and that will have a seamless communication with the entire hospital, where that will reduce most of the time involved in terms of the communication is going to happen. And this terminology called as the multidisciplinary team meetings, which I have seen in the Adayar Cancer Institute, Kanchipuram Cancer Institute. We every Tuesday or every week they used to have one board meeting discussing on the care plan for every individual. That is one of the most robust practices I've ever seen, but that still makes a lot of sense in every hospital. If it's going to get incorporated, it'll be of very great help. Involving the other consultants will also make you, medical legally safe as well. Performance measures and continuous improvement. So this set of key performance indicators and monitoring metrics, these are available across the the country in terms of the NABH implementation is concerned. There are set of KPIs to be followed in any organization. If it's going to be if it's more than 50 bed, you have another set of more parameters to be monitored and documented. The raw data has to be processed, and you have to present it when you are undergoing the assessment, and the assessor is going to ask you to present the KPI as a quality metrics. So this regular data analysis is very essential for you to make sure that whatever process you're undergoing, your organization is undergoing, whether they are fruitful in terms of their process design is concerned, whether they're optimally utilized, the resources are utilized, and whether the process which is existing in the hospital is contributing to the betterment of the organization. All these are the metrics which are going to make you take some concrete decisions in terms of every next step to take it forward. And of course, the staff training, I was earlier mentioning this, every individual has to be trained on a regular basis, and this again has to be documented, and it is evidenced for NABH audits as well. So by this we will be able to reduce the the errors which is happening at the multiple levels. The staff training, which is going to really help you out in reducing the medication errors in terms of administration, preparation, all those kind of stuff. So enhancing your process compliance, of course, it's going to contribute in a bigger way, and altogether this is a culture of the organization. It's not a single entity. It's just training is not a process, it's a culture altogether. Now, I'll just go in a retrospective way. The outcome is always predictable by the structure and the process, as I mentioned earlier. Now, if you want an outcome as per your desired thoughts and as per your whims and fancies, the process and the structure has to be retrospectively built, and it has to be constructed. And this again involves the next set of individuals, the healthcare professionals, the administrators, the patients, and the community stakeholders as well. So by focusing on the patient-centered care, the evidence-based practices, continuous quality improvement, and effective utilization of technologies, the hospital can strive for a better outcomes and improved overall healthcare quality. I've been witnessing one of the hospitals when I hailed from, when I did my graduation from Chengalpet Medical College, where I happened to see one of the hospitals, in a remote place from 20 kilometers from Chengalpet, that started as a 10-bedded hospital, then grown as a 20-bed. Right now, they are in Chengalpet, in a very big way. It's nearly around 100-bed hospital. That's how they are, they gradually grew based on the outcome what they have they faced, and they created that as a culture for themselves. So outcome, you are focusing on the patient-centered care. So it has to be patient-centered, it has to address the patient needs, the preferences and the goals of every patient. And this is possible only by promoting the shared decision making, effective communication, patient engagement throughout their healthcare journey. Wherever they're getting admitted, it has to be in a very effective communication loop has to be created, where every person is handling the patient has to be well informed about the patient's healthcare status. Of course, there's a repetition. We have this evidence-based clinical guidelines to communicate us, and we have the best practices, which is available in most of the industry experts. They in hospitals also, wherever we are finding some better practices, we can try incorporate in our organization and feel the improvement standards. The hospital should adopt standardized protocols for making yourself compliant and very comfortable in terms of the medical legal aspects as well. The quality metrics, as I mentioned earlier, the KPIs are very much available, and try to stick on to that and be as much as adherent to the possible KPIs, which will have definitely a very great impact in your health quality journey. So this CQI, the continuous quality improvement, is a separate chapter altogether in the standards of NABH, emphasizing that the CQI is a culture of the organization. It is not a separate standard alone. So that's where we will be able to systematically analyze the data, identify the areas of enhancement, and implement the interventions to improve the organizations in a positive note. That's how it's usually done by audits, performance reviews, and closing the feedback loops. The care transitions. This is one of the very key components where, as an anesthetist, I'm able to see a patient who is undergoing a surgery. Once they get it admitted, they get admitted in the ER, then they go to the wards for preparation, and then they go to theater, pre-op room, and then theaters and post-op recovery. And then if they are not doing good, they'll be shifted to the ICU. Then post a brief period of recovery, they go to the HDU, and then subsequently they later on go to the wards after being little better. So each individual, when he is undergoing a surgery, there's a probability for him to undergo, and there are so many transitions can happen in the healthcare space. So this is where the care coordination has to be multifold, and we have to be very comfortable in terms of handling the patient by incorporating the standards and the seamless transactions in place. And most of the pain points which I've seen in most of the hospitals would be the discharging of the patient. So we should have a comprehensive discharge plan which involves every stakeholder of the patients who during the patient care, and that will always be a very fruitful measure and an attempt for us to reap the benefits. The care coordination always reduces the risk of medication error and always contribute to the improved patient recovery. Patient safety, and again we are reinstating on the same thing, designing and implementing the safety protocols, error reporting, analysis, and the open culture has to be, open communication has to be a culture of the organization. It should not be a single man's nature. It has to be a culture, it has to be an organizational nature. Health, of course, we have again discussed about the IT infrastructure, which is going to support us in a very big way, giving effective information sharing, real-time clinical guidance, and data-driven insights will be an invaluable input from the IT infrastructure. The patient education and empowerment. So nowadays, people are more focusing and inclining their practices with the patient education. Whenever we go to the patient, they expect us to talk more. Now the culture of the family practice, physician practice is again getting incorporated. I'm very happy about it. However, we have to be more precise in what we are communicating. It should be through the patient education programs. All the educational materials are very much available across the organization. So those things can be very much helpful for the patient on a self-management note. Time to discuss the take-home points. So the key note point is the structure, process, and outcome is going to be the contributing note in terms of the healthcare management is concerned. So the analysis and to improve the quality management, we need to again consider on these three loopholes, wherein we consider all these three points, and we'll be able to close the quality management loop. And monitoring and addressing the issues within each component is critical and very crucial for achieving a high quality care. And last but not the least, by focusing on the optimizing the structure, ensuring the evidence-based processes, a continuous monitoring of outcomes, the healthcare organization can identify the areas of improvement, implement targeted interventions, and drive a positive change in to enhance the quality of care provided to the patient. Thanks for the patient listening.